Now, your metabolism isn't broken. It's responsive. It's always listening. And with every meal, movement, and mindful breath, you can help it reset. Welcome to Culinary Medicine Recipe. I'm so happy you're here. I'm your host, Dr. Sabrina Falquier. I was a primary care doctor for 16 years and went to school for 4 years to specialize in culinary medicine. In this work, I get to combine my passion and expertise in both medicine and food to teach people about food as medicine and to empower them to understand what ingredients optimize health and also how to cook those ingredients to make delicious meals. On this show, I interview top chefs, doctors, healthcare visionaries, and food service professionals who are making great strides in the field of culinary medicine. Join me as we continue to explore the amazing world of culinary medicine, where I will empower you to make changes to your health and wellness with great food right away. Hello, everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to Culinary Medicine Recipe. I am so thrilled to kick off season 3 with you. I absolutely love this time of year, the sense of possibility, the clean slate, the quiet invitation to reassess what's working and what isn't. It's a beginning and a reset. And if you're listening to this right after the holidays, you might be feeling, well, a little bit off. Maybe sluggish, maybe puffy, maybe like your routine completely disappeared under the weight of heavy meals, late nights, travel, and celebrations. If that sounds familiar, you're definitely not alone. And here's the good news. Your metabolism can bounce back far faster than you think. Today's episode is all about rebooting your body's engine using simple evidence-based habits you can start today. Maybe you've tried cutting portions, swapping ingredients, adding an extra workout, and nothing seems to shift the way it used to. That frustration is real. I hear it constantly. How do I speed up my metabolism? I think my metabolism's broken. My metabolism slowed down after 40. By the end of this episode, you'll know the exact foods, rhythms, and daily habits that truly support metabolic health, all through the lens of culinary medicine. Let's start with understanding what metabolism actually is. Metabolism is the sum of every chemical reaction happening in your body, from producing energy to repairing cells to renewing tissues. It's your internal engine. And while, yes, genetics, hormones, age, muscle mass, sleep, and stress all influence metabolism, we have far more control through food and lifestyle than most people realize. Every choice is a little nudge in one direction or another. And that's where culinary medicine shines, because what we eat and how we eat are some of the strongest metabolic messages we send our bodies. So let's get started. The first one is food as information. I encourage people to truly consider what we place at the end of our fork or our spoon, or what we pour into our cup or mug. Why? Because food is information for your body's cells. Every bite or sip sends a message to your metabolism. Whole, colorful foods, as close to the way nature made them. These foods reduce inflammation, they help with repair, they're able to give key nutrients and hydration to the cells that need them. Whereas ultra-processed foods, the ones high in sugar, manufactured ingredients, refined flours, and industrial fats, those can cause our body to hold on to energy, meaning our metabolism slows down. Think of a bear getting ready for hibernation. We hold on to weight because the system is stressed out. Those foods also lack nutrients and antioxidants that our body's looking for and desperately needs. So our metabolism protects, it slows down. And this isn't about good or bad. It's about recognizing that your metabolism is constantly interpreting signals. So what can you do? Focus this week on plates full of color, variety, fiber, and minimally processed ingredients. And your body actually responds fast, sometimes within 1 or 2 days, and you can start feeling less sluggish and less puffy. Next, I want to talk about the role of spices and herbs as your metabolic allies. And talking flavor, one of my favorite parts. Spices and herbs aren't just delicious, they are metabolically active. For example, cinnamon helps improve insulin sensitivity. Ginger and chili slightly increase thermogenesis, your body's heat production. Turmeric, especially with a crank of pepper, reduces the inflammation that slows metabolic pathways. These are tiny ingredients with outsized impacts. So what's the culinary tip on this? Add spices in most, if not all, your meals. So some easy examples. If you're making a morning smoothie, add cinnamon or turmeric with a crank of fresh ground pepper, depending on what flavors are going into your smoothie. Or you can add some cinnamon to oatmeal or yogurt or fruit, or some turmeric with that pepper into eggs or tofu or other spices also, like some paprika as an example. It's a flavorful daily signal to your metabolism. Let's get going. Next is your rhythm and timing of your meals. Your metabolism is profoundly tied to your circadian rhythm, your internal clock. So if you eat it late at night, especially heavy meals, it disrupts your glucose control and lipid metabolism. Meanwhile, eating earlier in the day when your body expects energy supports metabolic stability. So think about aligning your kitchen with your daylight. I long ago heard a saying, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. It actually has merit behind it. So, a substantial breakfast or lunch that truly fuels you, followed by a lighter, earlier dinner that supports overnight repair. And you may have heard about intermittent fasting. And the truth is, the strongest data supports a gentle version of it, eating within daylight hours and allowing 12 hours between dinner and breakfast. And it's not about restriction, it's really about rhythm. And I always think when we're doing intermittent fasting to make sure that the hours where you're eating to really make them count. So, really doing those nutrient dense and delicious meals. So again, kitchen timing supports your body timing. For our fourth principle, we want to talk about building balanced plates. And if there's one thing you take away from this entire episode, let it be this, that balanced meals create steady energy, and steady energy protects your metabolism, whereas spikes and crashes really strain it. So leave with the visual of half your plate being fruits and vegetables, 1/4 plate well thought out proteins, and 1/4 plate whole grains, and you will be well on your way. And there's a link in the episode description if you want to know more about what to put on your plate. Now, with this visual in mind, each meal will include protein from varied sources, which support muscle, satiety, and metabolic rate. It includes fiber, which stabilizes glucose, lowers body lipid levels, and nourishes the gut microbiome, which is the healthy bacteria in your intestines. It also includes healthy fats, which support hormones and sustained energy. And those varied colors, when we talk about eating the rainbow, those include varied phytonutrients that reduce oxidative stress. Without having to memorize which color gives you what, it really is the variety that will give you all the phytonutrients needed. And I'll give you specific examples of what those plates can look like in just a little bit. Next, we're going to talk about muscle as your metabolic engine. And here's something we often overlook. Your muscle tissue is your metabolic engine. More muscle equals a faster, more efficient metabolism. And this is especially important as we age when muscle mass naturally declines. And you don't need an intense gym routine. Things like walking, running, yoga, intentional muscle strengthening activities like wall sits, planks, wall push-ups give our body what it needs with no special equipment or outfit needed. The recommended amount of exercise is split into 2 types, and this is recommended by the Center of Disease Control. So it's 150 minutes a week of movement. So again, that could be walking or dancing or running. So that breaks down to about 30 minutes a day, and you can spread it out throughout the day. And then 2 days a week of muscle strengthening activities, like I mentioned before. And here's the culinary medicine connection, protein. Protein helps maintain muscle mass. So getting varied foods that have protein in it, which can come from animal as well as plant sources. And then we have to think of it not just as the protein that we're taking in, because our body has to build those muscles on its own. It won't happen by merely eating the protein foods. So our body actually breaks down any protein containing food into amino acids that it's made out of, like Lego pieces. And then our body builds the muscle it needs with the building blocks at hand. So if we have more variety, we have more building blocks. And in the US, we tend to eat 2 to 3 times more protein than our body needs. And if we eat too much, our body actually converts it to fat. So more is not better. And a simple guideline for the average person is needing 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight. Now, that's some serious higher math, so let's translate that. So if you weigh around 150 pounds, that's roughly 54 grams of protein a day. And the goal is to spread that out throughout the day. So about 20 grams for breakfast and lunch, and then about 15 grams for dinner. Now, here's some concrete examples of full meals that give you the plate mentioned above and the right amount of protein. So for omnivores, people that do eat animal protein, here's what a day of meals can look like. And think meals, not a big pile of animal protein only, because this gives you, again, more variety of nutrients and the right amount of protein. So for breakfast, this could look like a Greek yogurt parfait with a whole grain crunch and a fruit component. And breaking down the ingredients used, so that would include 3/4 of a cup of Greek yogurt, which gives you about 13 to 15 grams of protein, 1/4 cup of cooked quinoa, which you cool and then use like a granola. That gives you 2 grams of protein, and then 1 tablespoon of chia seeds, which is 2 grams of protein. Now, to make it a complete meal, we have a half cup of mixed berries and then a sprinkle of cinnamon and chopped nuts. Again, that gives you those additional nutrients that we talked about. Another example for breakfast would be a veggie egg scramble with whole grain toast and avocado. So here we're using 2 large eggs, which gives us about 12 grams of protein, 1/4 cup of egg whites, Optional is a boost of extra protein, or you can omit that altogether, but that gives you 6 grams of protein. You can also add sauteed vegetables such as spinach, tomato, mushrooms, and bell peppers, a cup of that, and that adds an additional 3 grams of protein. A slice of whole grain toast gives you 3 to 4 grams of protein, and then a quarter of an avocado for healthy fats. And then you can have some fruit on the side too. So again, whole meals, getting those 20 grams of protein. Now, for lunch or dinner options, we have Mediterranean farro bowl with salmon and vegetables. So that is a half cup of farro, which is 5 grams of protein, 3 ounces of cooked salmon, which is slightly smaller than the palm of our hand, which gives us about 18 grams of protein. Then we use 1 cup of roasted vegetables, varied vegetables, a handful of arugula or baby spinach, a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and lemon for your dressing, and then optional, a sprinkle of feta, which adds about 2 grams of protein. Another option for lunch or dinner are chicken and vegetable stir fry over brown rice. Half a cup of brown rice gives you 3 grams of protein, 3 ounces of chicken breast, 22 grams of protein, and then 1.5 cups of mixed vegetables, broccoli, carrots, and snap peas gives you about 2 to 3 grams of protein. Here you can add a sauce of tamari or soy sauce, garlic or ginger to get those spices, and a teaspoon of sesame oil, which gives you some healthy fats as well. Now, moving on to people who eat fully plant-based. For breakfast, we have tofu and quinoa breakfast bowl with spinach and berries. And the components of that are 3 ounces of firm tofu, slightly sauteed, that's 9 grams of protein, half a cup of quinoa, that's 4 grams of protein, and a tablespoon of hemp seeds, 3 grams of protein, 1 cup of sauteed spinach, 2 grams of protein. Serve that with 1/4 cup of berries on the side for those varied colors and additional antioxidants. You season that with your turmeric, your black pepper, and a squeeze of lemon, again, for those herbs and spices. Moving on to dinner for fully plant-based, we have lentil farro power bowl with vegetables and tahini lemon drizzle. Half a cup of cooked lentils has 9 grams of protein. Half a cup of cooked farro, 5 grams of protein. Your 1.5 cups of roasted vegetables, such as cauliflower, carrots, or broccoli, gives you 3 grams of protein. 1 to 2 cups of leafy greens, such as arugula or spinach, 2 grams of protein. 1 tablespoon of tahini, lemon, and garlic dressing gives you another 3 grams of protein. And an option of pumpkin seeds or crunch, which adds yet another 3 grams of protein. And then our last example is a tempeh stir fry over brown rice with ginger, garlic, and sesame. It's making my mouth water just thinking about these. That has 3 ounces of tempeh, cubed and lightly pan-seared, gives you 17 grams of protein, half cup cooked brown rice, 3 grams of protein, 1.5 cup stir-fried vegetables such as bok choy, peppers, mushrooms, and snap peas, 4 grams of protein, a sauce of tamari or soy sauce, garlic, and ginger for those spices and additional delicious flavor, and then 1 teaspoon of sesame oil and optional sesame seeds, adding those healthy fats as well. So hopefully with these examples, you see whole, delicious meals from varied sources of our protein. Now, second to last is hydration. So even mild dehydration can slow your metabolism. So be intentional about how you hydrate with water, sparkling water, herbal teas, broths, and water-rich produce like cucumbers, citrus, grapes, and melons. And in the winter, I don't know about you, but to me, it gets a lot trickier to get this hydration. So I can't emphasize enough the role of warm herbal teas or room temperature water rather than cold water. Some people don't mind the time of year with what they crave, but for a lot of people, they tend to reach for water much less in the winter. And mindful sensory eating, noticing the tastes, the aromas, the textures, activates your parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of our body, which allows our metabolism to work efficiently. So all these principles we've talked about, really taking into account how we are partaking in them, which goes along with our last piece, which is how we are treating our body outside of what we're eating and drinking. So stress and sleep are often key for people after food and movement. These are all interrelated and fit with the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine that I've talked about in previous episodes. And there's a link in the episode description if you want to learn more about the pillars. And you can't talk about metabolism without talking about stress and sleep. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which tells your body to store energy. Poor sleep disrupts appetite hormones like leptin and ghrelin. They increase cravings and reduce metabolic flexibility. So think about gentle habits, a wind down routine, turning off your screen earlier, a gratitude practice, breathing exercises, connection with people who bring you joy, slowing down and enjoying the process of acquiring ingredients, cooking, enjoying the visuals of your food before even taking the first bite. And remember, rest is essential to health. So there you have it, the 7 principles to kickstart your metabolism. So to recap, to reset your metabolism gently, sustainably, and joyfully, focus on these 7 principles. Number one, eat colorful, minimally processed or unprocessed foods that give your body what it needs. Use herbs and spices strategically and regularly. Eat in alignment with daylight. Build a balanced plate with protein, fiber, healthy fats, and color variety. Move daily to support your muscle mass with the recommended 150 minutes a week of movement and 2 days a week of intentional muscle strengthening activities. Stay hydrated with the goal of about 2 liters per day of liquid. And last, think beyond the food alone and include prioritizing sleep, joy, and stress reduction. And these are not drastic resolutions or quick fixes. These are steady, delicious habits that help your metabolism work for you again. Now, your metabolism isn't broken. It's responsive. It's always listening. And with every meal, movement, and mindful breath, you can help it reset. Thank you for joining me today on Culinary Medicine Recipe. I'm so excited for what this new year will bring, and I look forward to empowering you, as always, with food that is delicious and fabulous for your long-term health.
I hope you feel motivated by this episode. Please leave us a rating and a review and mention our show to others who you think could use this information. That could be your doctor, it could be somebody who works in the food service industry who's interested in the health components, it could be a friend that is working on their health journey. If you want to hear more, please remember to follow Culinary Medicine Recipe on your favorite podcast listening platform. Until next time, salud and bon appetit. All content provided or opinions expressed in this episode are for informational purposes only and are not a substitute for professional medical advice. Please seek advice from your doctor or other qualified healthcare professional.